Hello everyone. This video will be pretty quick. I just have two little questions for you. So I have this question here, what is wrong with this graph? And what is wrong with this graph here? Okay, so I'll let you look at this one a bit first. Pause the video, try to find what is wrong with it. Let you look at this one. Pause the video, try to find what is wrong with it. Okay, here goes for my answer. Okay, the answer here is pretty straightforward. This was, by the way, a midterm exam question or a final exam question in the past. Okay, the idea here is that whenever the whenever the marginal is above the average should be going up, which is correct here. But whenever the marginal, anything, is below the average should be going down. Here, the marginal is below the average, but the average is still going up. Okay, so this graph is clearly wrong. This would never happen in the real world. Okay, whenever the marginal is above the average is going up. But as soon as the marginal is below the average should start to go down. So the AP should look actually something like this. The maximum of the AP curve should be here, cannot be here. Does that make sense? The marginal of the maximum of the AP curve or any average curve will always be the maximum or the minimum, depending on how they cross, will always be where the average and the marginal cross. Does that make sense? So that's what was wrong with this graph. It couldn't go like this and keep going up, right? The average should have started to go down. Okay, for my second graph, for my other graph here, this one, there's actually two things that are wrong on this graph. The first one is I messed up the AVC and the ATC on purpose, right? The AVC is the average variable cost. The ATC is the average total cost. The total cost always has to be higher than the variable cost because the total cost includes the fixed cost and the variable cost. So the ATC should always be higher than the AVC. So these two got mixed up. Okay. The second thing is for the same reason we explained in the previous case, this case here, right? Whenever the marginal is below any average curve, that average curve should go down. So these curves are going down here and they're going down here as the marginal is below those curves. Does that make sense? This curve here that I label as the ATC, which I told you was wrong, that was one of the mistakes I wanted you to point out. That was the AVC and that was the ATC, right? The other mistake is that here, this is fine. The marginal is above this average, so this average is going up, and we can see that the minimum of the AVC is right here. That's correct, that's drawn correctly. For this curve though here, the MC here is above this average curve and the average is still going down. Maybe not a lot, but it's still going down. It should have started to go up already, and the minimum of this average total cost curve is here, but the minimum should be here, and then the curve should start to go up right away. Does that make sense? So remember, this is a really important link between any marginal costs, or sorry, any marginal curve and any average curve, right? If the marginal starts above the average will go up until it crosses the marginal curve, and then the average will start to go down, making the maximum where the two curve cross. If the marginal starts below the average curve, the average will go down until it crosses the marginal, at which points the average will start to go up right away. Okay, just two super important relationship. I often test that somehow in the exam, so it's really important for me that you understand this relationship and how it goes together. I might make a matching, a multiple select, or a multiple choice question relating to that in the final exam. I think it's actually pretty important. Okay, so try to understand that relationship. I also tried to highlight that relationship when we were talking here about the cost. Okay, so yeah, try to think about it, try to understand it. Thank you very much.